This week's episode of Behind the Billboard is sponsored by Bauer Media Outdoor. We're back! That was a nice lunch, wasn't it? That was a nice lunch 2 weeks ago. We're here 2 weeks later.
That was amazing. That's so long. I mean, I'm absolutely exhausted.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still...
You get to the afternoon lull now, are you?
Fuck. If you really want to know, I've been awake since 4:30 this morning.
Yeah, so you are over 12 hours into your day.
I was on to my
you need to go back
second...
and have a little snooze.
Yeah, you know what? I'd been up for so long and I thought, I'm going to have to have my lunch now. It's like about 9 o'clock.
Right, I need to get 3 coffees in you because we've got a highly energetic guest in today.
It's going to be fine, mate. It's going to be fine. I've had much better nights, worse nights than that, you know.
Good.
Yeah, so tell me more.
So before I tell you who our guest is.
Yeah, I'm on tenterhooks.
We need to hear from some of our friends.
Yes.
We're going to hear from our friends at Bauer Media Outdoor, one of their powerful posters.
Oh, here we go. Yes.
Hey, Dan, you and listeners. I'm Ben Cox, Programmatic Marketing Manager at Bauer Media Outdoor. My powerful poster of the week is from Heinz, specifically their tomato soup campaign from the start of the year. I mean, what a better time to talk about a campaign that used cold temperature as their data trigger than the UK's hottest weekend of the year. I think the campaign honestly smashed it out of the park, from the creative to smart execution behind it. They leveraged their distinctive brand assets that made it easy for audiences to connect the dots, from the iconic brand label outline and logo lettering to the perfect Heinz red background. It's unmistakably Heinz. And to top it off, they went that extra mile and activated programmatically, tapping into data triggers that activated the 2 creatives when it dropped below 2 key temperature thresholds, serving up comfort food messaging at the moments that mattered most. I'm not sure I'll be running to the shops to pick up some soup in this heat, but if I saw that ad on a freezing cold day, I'd definitely be wanting the ultimate hug in a bowl.
Lovely,
Cool.
Jeffrey. Yeah.
Lovely
one.
So, Hugh, what have we seen on Ooh, That's Nice
Ooh,
recently?
That's Nice.
Sponsored by our friends at View to Fill, the video and photography experts for out of home.
That's a very good question.
Well, we saw the stained glass thing because you just put that up, didn't you?
Stained glass thing, yeah. Wait a minute, because you linked me to that.
Yeah.
Where did you see it in the flesh?
No, I found it on the LinkedIn.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing.
It's a really impressive piece of out of home, and what I like about it is, it's non-traditional media out of home. It's taking something that's a big iconic space and going, what we could do something with that.
Yeah,
I love that thinking. I think we're going to talk about a few of those pieces today with our guest.
Yeah,
because they're a bit of an agile out of home specialist team, so they think about the out of home space not just as powerful posters, but as opportunities and the fabric of a city to tell a story.
Yeah,
which I think
I was just going to mention a couple of others. Sorry,
yeah, go.
Dove, as ever, always part of culture. They've created a thing called the Beauty Machine, and we put that up the other day, which is just a bunch of faces you can buy.
Yes.
In Waterloo Station. That was absolutely brilliant. I'm sure that's going to do well. And then there's something from our friends in Manchester. Meanwhile,
yes,
The Secret of the Bees. Really sweet idea, for National Geographic, and these tiny little where we did a little gag about behind the billboards.
behind the billboard. Oh,
but
yes.
those were good. And then also another mention. I mean, always good Marmite, but another great campaign about cooking, putting Marmite in cooking, and it's love or hate, and the ingredients are smiling or hate. It's just, there is a lot of good work out there, and please keep sending it in because we love it. All we do is we'll just do another post. We won't limit them. We'll just keep doing them.
Yeah, it's lovely to see, isn't it? And
yeah.
I think actually the engagement numbers are doing really well on that.
Yes.
I'll let our social media manager know that.
Yeah, let's talk to our social guys when we get back.
Doing a very good job. Anyway, today's guest.
Now you tell me, because this was meant to be an American person in America.
We also had this. We've had this booked in twice, and our guest is a globetrotter, right? He is. I've spoken to him a couple of times over the last few months as we're trying to book this in, and it's I'm in Brazil, I'm in Holland, I'm in Spain, and there are reasons for that. He was telling me that his kid plays professional football,
right?
And the other one is like a basketball like academy, like in Florida. So between the US, we tried to get him for our New York special while we're in New York, and he ended up flying somewhere else.
So this man's name is?
This man's name is Ben Billups, and he runs a company called Billups. His name's above the door. They are an out-of-home specialist, a bit like my old friends and employers.
Yes. Yeah.
Slightly different type of business by all accounts, but we're going to hear more about it today from him, from the horse's mouth.
There's about 4 or 5 mega campaigns, like big fucking
and it'll be a bit different today
stuff.
because it's not about the creative ideas, because it's
how to pull them off.
The media agencies kind of, they rely on decent creative to do a good job, but it's not their bread and butter.
Yeah.
So it really is. It's not just about how to pull them off. Maybe it's about the placements, how the audience are going to see them, and what audience they might be, or how they track, how they respond to them, how it's measured and stuff.
It's all part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think it's an underplayed part of the game as well.
Yeah.
I think if you find the right partners, which that certainly from Grand Visual's humble beginnings and selling into a specialist, that role working with media agencies and clients is relatively underplayed, and finding the right partners in that space is imperative. You might remember back we had Sophie Pemberton from Talon on,
yes,
and she talked about that, and in our New York special, we had Ryan Lowell from the Talon America team talking about it.
Yeah, I remember Ryan.
So this is going to be really interesting because this is the founder of a business. So it'd be interesting to hear from him.
Yeah, great stuff.
So I can hear him because he's larger than life, and we're going to hear from him. I can see him now waving at you through the window. So
come on.
It's your turn.
Hello, mate. Come on in. We'll go and get you.
Ben Billups, welcome to Behind the Billboard. It's been a long time coming, actually, this one. We had it booked in, we moved it. We were trying to get you in New York when we were there, and the airlines didn't align. So we've got you here, and we're in London. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was actually New York was a shame we didn't see you.
Yeah.
Because it was a fun week.
It was a really fun. It was busy though. I don't think we could have fitted in another one when we were over there.
It was fun because Dan fell asleep and we missed our plane. I'm not going to say that out loud. It's the first thing, right?
No, but we have been trying to get you on the show for a while, and especially just for heads up for listeners who we've dealt with lots of different creative people in the industry. Ben is the founder of a company called Billups. They're an out-of-home specialist agency looking at planning and buying media on behalf of agencies and clients. So it'll be really interesting for us to get a different perspective from you than we normally get from some of the creative teams about the ideation process. This is more about how ideas are brought to life on the streets for the public and for audience.
All right, guys, let's go. Looking forward.
So we always start with a few facts about our guest to help people get to know you. So we've got some Ben facts.
Ben facts. We couldn't afford a jingle there, so we just do our own.
We could do it for you.
So Ben is the founder of Billups. It's Portland, Oregon-based Billups, the largest
founded in Portland, Oregon.
Largest independent out-of-home media specialist agency in the US.
In the US. We're climbing globally.
Yeah, we go. Founded in 2003, now operates globally, helping brands plan, buy, and measure out of home with modern data-driven approaches. Is that fair?
That sounds fair, but it doesn't sound creative, right?
There we go.
Well, we'll get there.
Recently named one of America's most promising companies by Forbes.
It wasn't that recent, actually. It's quite early on. I think it was 2020.
Well, it's
definitely attached. No.
Still a fact.
We're
still promising, right?
Less recently.
It's a huge fact.
It's a huge fact. Ben's worked with some of the most iconic and innovative out-of-home campaigns over the world. We're going to see some of those today and in the work that we go through. And finally, we like a little personal fact. One of your children plays professional football in the Spanish league.
He does. He plays in what's called the Primera Federación. And that's my older boy, and then my younger son plays basketball. He plays sports at IMG Academy, and Florida. So
how old's your first son playing the football?
My older son, Boston, he is 20. So
he's playing in the Spanish
third league. Right now, they're currently in first place. So we'll see if they're going to promote and how all of that goes. Yeah.
Tell you what, Barcelona will be looking for a centre forward in the summer.
Yeah. Well,
he's a centre forward.
He's attacking midfield wing.
Okay.
He's a little bit. He can play a lot of positions, but yeah, he's he's doing that. And I've got a younger one who's like much bigger than I am. So it's nice. He plays basketball and so proud of both of them. They're both, I've always thought that sports, teach us a lot about, how things work in teams in real life. And so a lot of times you work really hard in these, in the sporting areas and things just don't work out. And sometimes they do, but you learn a lot about yourself. You learn how to respond, how far you can push your body. So beyond the academic things, which are important to our family, these two guys get after it on a day-to-day level. Super proud of them as their dad. Yeah.
And you obviously, you do a lot of travel with Billups expanding around the world. You get to see them play their games, and I
try to get to them. So later this month, I'll be, after possible, my younger son is going to be playing in a tournament in Florida, basketball. So Florida high school basketball is the real thing. And then as we kind of approach the end of May, we'll see whereabouts my older son's team is, and we'll see if they end up in a playoff or a direct promotion. I think they're going to land in one of the two. Let's just see. It's one game at a time, and you've got to be thinking that way from the start.
Yeah.
Right? Are you a kind of loud dad cheering, or kind of sotto voice?
No, I'm super quiet, but as an entrepreneur, you're naturally always trying to figure out what are the angles. How does he get more minutes? How does how do you help optimize situations? In the end, I think you have to surrender. It's somebody, when he was 9, my older one was 9, and it helped me with both children. He gave me 3 words. It's his journey. Right. And I think I was a little bit of a helicopter parent for sure. And I think
who said that? Sorry.
One of his technical trainers.
Oh, really?
At 9, right? So this is like, this kid's discipline. My other one's similar. Cooper's similar. But in the end, it's been one of those things that those 3 words were fairly profound, and it helped me sort of translate from this is not my journey to his journey. And sometimes as parents and adults, when a wise word is spoken, it's nourishing. And so for me, it's just something I've hung on to. And I realize every time I'm getting a little agitated, it's helpful, right? To just remember those 3 words.
Yeah. Where did your entrepreneurial spirit come from? Was that from your parents?
So actually, believe it or not, no. I mean, I don't think there's any DNA related to it. But my dad drove for UPS, and then my mom worked as a local pharmacy tech. And
in Oregon.
Yeah, in Oregon. So I grew up and I was wanted more, but I was in a situation where I ended up in really good schools. I was a very good, I would guess you'd call it footballer, but soccer player in the US. And I had some people looking out for me, and they got me into some, a nationally ranked school in soccer. And then it was the top school in the state of Oregon academically. I think I learned more there in 2 years than I learned the rest of my life almost. A school called Catlin Gable. But in the end, I was surrounded, and I was always interested in sort of doing something different, like most kids are from their parents. Some follow in their footsteps, but for me, I was I was always selling, top magazine salesperson in the 7th grade, or I guess I was 3rd. There were, long story short, there were 2 kids that had their parents take their stuff to their work and have everybody sign up. And I'm always door to door, chocolate bars. I got the Hershey bars, the lollipops, whatever it was. I think it wasn't really about selling. It was just really about accomplishing for me. That was fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it is for a lot of people, and we all have different speeds, and fulfillment is different for every one of us. So it's also about respecting that in everybody. But for me, it's not always more. I think it's about doing it with authenticity and being who I am. And, out of home is 5%, depending on the market. Right here in the UK, it's probably 10%, or it is around 10%. And so it's not about necessarily, going into Silicon Valley and being a billionaire is not about the most. I think it's really about finding the thing that is that nexus of your passion and your curiosity and things that you're good at that nourish you. And I try to find that spot, trying to help my kids find that spot, certainly.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's good. I do like that. It's his journey. We talked recently about my middle one and his acting, and is a constant thing that Kelly and I are doing when he's going off to auditions or he's on set for something. It's
so cool.
Stay back and let him just be him, and it's really cool to watch when they.
It's really cool. And then he's how old?
11.
Yeah, I was going to say 12. I know he's young, and then I mean he's going to evolve and be himself, and just you're going to watch this thing grow. And I think if you're parents of even older children or adults, like you're just so proud.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, no matter what. And I think really in the end, you're just thankful for their health.
Yeah.
And their identity is in your family. And then you kind of work backwards towards, he happens to play basketball or he happens to play football or he's an amazing actor. But like, it's so fun to watch people's gifts manifest.
Yeah.
Whether it's work or it's like personal, it's one of the reasons I still love working. It's watching people sort of like find something in themselves.
Let's get into the work, actually. Let's talk about, just before we jump into our usual segment of Billboard at the end of my street, which is sponsored by Super Optimal, let's talk about what you've been up to lately, the stuff that you can talk about. I know there's stuff that you won't be able to talk about, but what's happening at Billups at the moment, and where are we on the journey with Billups? What's the...
Billups. So Billups sits currently at about 480 people. We're in, I would say 23 countries. And so I'm exhausted.
From humble beginnings, a single office in
Portland, Oregon.
Wow, that's incredible.
So lots to be thankful for. Really, sort of for me on the plus side of life, and the rest of it's just hard work and doing this with people. I get asked a lot of questions by people. One of them is like, "How'd you do it?" And I'm like, "Okay, like here it comes." The truth is, I didn't.
Right.
The truth is, I stepped through the door. My wife and I, Heather, and is my wife's name. We were willing to do the articles of incorporation. In fact, Billups was originally a placeholder, as a company name. It wasn't even planned. I mean, this was not something I was aiming for, but it stuck. And so
it's your name above the door.
And I'm embarrassed on certain levels. And there may be a time where we upshift that and change the brand. I mean, everybody on my marketing and brand team and, the executives like, no. But like in the end, it's what I like to tell our team is this is a story I started that's being written by our people. That also includes me still, and it will continue to include me. And I love to work with our people. But our team, we have an amazing people and culture, officer, Jen, and we have carefully crafted and coded how we bring people in, and our retention levels are really high. So it's fun to see people with similar DNA, tenacity, hunger, obsession, curiosity, accountability, like these types of things in their fiber. And while we're not perfect as a company, it's for me, Billups is we're always going to go for it. And it's never going to be a situation where, I was in an office earlier today, an important one. And I just told him, just so you know, we're not a perfect company. And it really also helps level set. It's got a bit about like his journey, right? It's a bit of the truth. Mm-hmm. So for me, I really want to, Billups is not a perfect company, but we're always going to go for it. And so I think that enterprising, that entrepreneurial spirit is just part of like the fabric of the people that join. They feel daring. They feel, and sometimes people get a little locked up, and I try to tell them, hey, you promised you were going to go for it when you came here. Why are you so locked up? So,
and that's a reflection of you and Heather and the beginning. Went, this is the culture of the company, and you've got it to 480
My dad was a UPS
people.
driver. My mom worked as a pharmacy tech. Like, this is the plus side. We got 480 people. We are, we're in 23 countries. I think we'll be in another 3 or 4. We've got multiple acquisition conversations going on. I'm constantly learning. And as far as I've moved to Europe, while my home's in Tennessee, effectively, we have had the opportunity to just learn. So for me, this has been Billups 2.0.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur in my own company. And 2007, I tried to buy property in Costa Rica, and I learned really quickly I should just stick to what I'm good at. I didn't know that I'd be good in Europe or in Asia. I'm not sure that it really has anything to do with me. Really, we have some amazing people, and I think it's been about individual selection. Andrew Brunton was our first employee. He's in the UK. He's from the UK, but he's he's an amazing guy.
Is he still in the Netherlands?
Yeah. Still in the Netherlands. I tried to tell him, a week or two ago, we were in a meeting in the Netherlands. I'm like, you're more Dutch than James, but you're not Dutch. We were laughing. So, Andrew's an amazing guy. James is. We have a nice group here in the UK. I think 60 plus people. So what are we doing? It's acquisitions. There's more, but it's I think it's more about quality. There's some creative interest. There's some interesting creative things going on internally. And really from a tech perspective, we released here in London at Outernet, and I think it was November, the industry's first ever agentic out of home, solution. And so that's been, that's from our CTO, Sean Spooner. Sean has done an amazing job. I mean, this guy is at a different level. And I think, what like moves me most, and I always tell everybody, I'm interested in delivering amazing and moving the world. And Sean is somebody who is a nicer person than he is a rocket scientist, a genius, an extraterrestrial, from a brain standpoint, he is from a town outside of Topeka, Kansas, 800 people. His story is amazing. I hope at some point he'll be able to, people just get to know him more, because he is more kind than he is a genius. And I love working with people like that.
And so for on the innovative side of an out-of-home specialist, then like, tech plays a huge part and has done over the last 10, 15 years, really. You know, my background and
certainly
selling a creative agency into a creative production agency into an out-of-home specialist.
Sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of emphasis that goes on. Well, as the outdoor 2.0 was coming through with digital taking over paper. On the innovation side, do you set that as an agenda item for the business, or do you just get in the right people to make sure that you're building the right tools to support the business?
No, I think it's beyond what we're trying to do for the business. I mean, I think I always challenge everybody to look at this, but when you look at the LinkedIn profiles of our company, you'll find 80 plus people that have AI systems engineer, data science, a data scientist. So for me, like if we were just responding to the tools, we'd probably be taking things off the shelves. So Billups wants to be as vertical as it can possibly be. I mean, part of the, strategy. And so for me, Sean spearheaded that. So we have software engineers, full stack engineers, data engineers, all of that. And so it can't be just a knee jerk reaction or just from a tooling perspective. There are things to take off. There's adequate, I wouldn't call them competitors, but I would say there are adequate groups where you can go and you can get research and you can get insights and you can get analytics. And from our perspective, it's just been a part of wanting to be what I call full stack out of home.
Okay.
And it's being about as vertical as we can be. It's not just full stack programmatic in the sense of DSP, SSP, ad server, yada, yada. I think it's more about how can these are tangential lanes on a day-to-day level that we deal with and things we need to address with our clients. And so for me, it's all part of the process of building. And so we're absolutely planning for it.
Okay. It's good. It's good. That's another thing that's in the DNA of a business, because if you're asking your people to be innovative and entrepreneurial, then you need to provide them with tools and systems to do that, right? So,
that's right. And we build a lot of the wrong ones too. I mean, I think that's part of the process of learning. I mean, I've learned how not to build software teams. And I think sometimes for me, I'm just being, from the time I was young, I think sometimes part of who I know I wanted to be was who I know I didn't want to be. And I think part of building the wrong teams and doing the wrong things. I mean, not that they were just like, not as well built as if you may have come out of the software industry.
It's
a process.
There's a software rule, isn't there? Fail fast, so that because you learn more when you fail, and then you get to the better stuff anyways.
Yeah, I think it's just about having a level of relentlessness and fearlessness about like learning. I always just tell everybody, imagine, just like visually go there with me, but imagine like a speed bump, right? That's what failure is. It's not a wall.
Yeah.
And so the faster you go through these speed bumps, the faster you're going to get to the other side. So ultimately, you're going to succeed faster if you're willing to accept that the failure or the errors or the mistakes are simply just speed bumps.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm going to try and do a really good link from a speed bump to your block where you live.
The block where I live.
There may be speed bumps.
Benny from the block? Or what?
So
in the UK, this segment was called the Billboard at the end of my street. When we did the US thing, because we were in New York, we went, we have to do the Billboard at the end of my block.
But then because you're actually staying over here in Mayfair.
Yeah.
We have to go.
A bit of a rough part of town.
It is rough. As you guys say, a bit dodgy.
Dodgy, mate. We were, Dan, while you was mentioning, maybe we should just talk about what you've seen. And you were saying maybe you saw some Nike stuff, right?
Yeah. I saw, there's a Nike, I guess you'd call it a wall wrap. It's at the corner of, I don't know where it is, Bond and, I don't know if it's Bond.
Is it a big red stuff?
Huh? I don't plan anymore.
It's red
stuff.
It's like, it's
scaffold
right at the, it's a scaffolding. Yeah, exactly.
Is it? And
nice. And it's Nike. Nice. That's from the hood, right? So, I'm not from the hood really from per se, but it's from Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And, anytime I see Nike just outside of North America, because we do their work, it's like really a pleasure to watch, and see what's going on in the rest of the world. And I love coming here because every time I'm here, it's there. So it must be a permanent location.
Yeah.
We don't do the placement for them as it relates to this, but I love the scaffolding. Yeah.
We use this segment to talk about the state of the industry. So let's try and do a couple of minutes on what normally it's about the creative side of the industry. What are you seeing out there?
Not calling me creative, huh?
Well, I think everyone's creative. I think we can pigeonhole everyone, and you have to be aware of, especially when you're when your teams and you have done in the past media planning, effectiveness of a campaign for out of home is as much about the media placement as it is about the content. So
sure.
I think everyone has to have opinion on the creative. But we use this segment to talk about the state of our industry, the state of the creative, the state of the media planning. So if you don't mind a minute or so on,
if I can answer the questions, I'll give you my best.
Yeah.
So.
What is your opinion of what you're seeing out? And you're well traveled, thousands of air miles every week.
Yeah, and lots of jet lag. So you'd think I'd be looking at everything, and sometimes I'm staring at my phone, guilty pleasure, just like everybody else, just trying to get caught up with my WhatsApps and mail. But
yeah, what's your opinion of what you see out there at the moment?
Look, out there, it's
in the out of home space.
Look, I think obviously in the U.S. you see a lot of people trying to, adjust their permanent positions from static to digital. I think that probably goes everywhere else because you have one location, 6 or 8 different opportunities for revenue. So if it's a revenue game and you're going to grow market share, then I think in general, things will move that way. But, in the end, I looking out there, I mean, I'm constantly inspired. I see things all the time. And, sometimes just new brands having a take, doing interesting things. I mean, I used to travel a lot to San Francisco. From Portland, it's only an hour and a half. And I loved going through that because you could kind of see the difference between some people that just wanted to put a billboard up to kind of bang their chest, like some of these tech companies raising money, to people that were, I call it from going from being a buyer to an investor in the out-of-home space. And the investment is like, look, we're not really looking at this as a transactional thing. And I think out-of-home's having a moment, right, where you've got people talking about, how many quarters in a row out-of-home's grown, but then also sometimes the market share hasn't. And so I think we're going to catch up. I think it just really comes down to the data side of it. But in terms of what I see visually, for me, I just like being in a car, sitting in the back of the car, looking at things. I look for the investors in the spaces, not necessarily just the buyers. And I think it's a different mindset. So
do you think it's going to, because we have this debate quite a bit about digital and flat, static. Do you think there's going to be a time when it will all be digital? Because, we all see those movies and everything's like screens, but there's so many massive swathes of countries where it's just static.
I think it's a political thing, right? Like at the end of the day, like that's a, in the US, they've kind of positioned it as, is there a risk to the movement, just from a driver perspective, And so for me, as long as we're sort of in the current dynamic, I see things continuing to convert, right? Like assets, somebody will trade 5 for 1. Like you'll hear about a media owner doing that. They'll get a digital sign up, but they've got to clean up some other units. So I think it's on its journey, but I think right now, I don't know exactly what the last report I saw said, but I think in the next couple of years, they predicted that 42% of the
inventory
digital out of home, the revenue.
Okay.
But really, when you look at that, you've got to think about it, like divide that by 3, and that's really what the assets is.
Yeah.
Because from an occupancy perspective, I don't really necessarily know. I think in the US, I kind of use 90-10 as the barometer. I don't technically know what that is. Maybe it's 88-12. Maybe it's...
Because I quite like going and say like the Underground, the Tube network, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest media
owner.
Sure.
In England.
It's the biggest deal as well. It's done for a 10-year period.
Yeah. And there's so much, it's all static. And you can't ever imagine it not, there's digi stuff. But
I don't think
imagine trying to fucking...
I don't think it'll ever be pure digital.
So it's kind of...
there's power consumption is horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you imagine that will always be a kind of, step back in time.
Maybe. And then maybe not. Like, I mean, who knows about how they can speed up, or lower the costs and some of this stuff.
I think it also goes to the
server farms.
Something else that you sent me when we were in the run up to this this session is about the marketing opportunities moving offline and experiential spaces being part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got a great partner. It's a good friend of mine. He used to actually be at Billups, CRO. He was our CRO, our first ever, or no, I think our second ever CRO, Michael Platnick. So he's just started a company. I think it's kind of been hanging around, but really with clear direction around the experiential space and offline. And he's been a friend for a long time. He was the Poster Scope CEO in the US at some point. Super excited that he's kind of getting into the space because even though things are going DSP, programmatic, digital out of home buying, open direct, all these other things, creativity is king.
There's a scramble for real.
For real. Yeah. And I think that, I saw this Instagram, that's what I shared with you, right? That post. And so, so for me, we need to have people who can think like out-of-home people, but be able to translate how that experience can work for us in real world. We can measure it. Billups can measure events. And so we just need like ideas. We need help. Our clients need those too. I mean, everybody, you're only as good as your like next idea, right?
Yeah. 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 I think that's, I think when you look at the way the industry is moving, there are 6 sheets, there are roadside, there are bulletins, there are transit, there's mass transit. But when you can stop someone from doing something in the space and they look and
stop,
and then they take part,
exactly,
it becomes a tangible.
Yeah, it's an experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think
then it's a deeper memory for people as they're moving around the space.
Yeah, and while we've worked with a number of companies in the space, for me, Michael is just somebody I trust, and I think trust has to do with a lot of things in life, whether it's family, whether it's work.
Yeah, but
he's just somebody who's an entrepreneur, always has an idea, is willing to dig in, and like if he says it, even if he how should I say this? Maybe if he says like, look, like this is going to be like no problem, but it ends up being a lot of work. I know that he will always work until we find a way, and that's what entrepreneurs do, and like we trust him.
And I think that's the shows the importance of having a partner in this space. Is that I don't think there are many agencies out there that can just do it all. And I don't think they should try. I think
it's a key word, partner.
Yeah, exactly. That's why there's an out-of-home specialist. That's also why there's a creative specialist.
I mean, the execution on these things are not easy. We've done them for multiple All-Star games, and so the partner is key. Or otherwise, like if you can't activate, but you've got the idea, you've got problems.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think any of us want more problems. Right.
Yeah. So before we get into the Billups work that we're going to talk through, since we've got 23 years of Billups work that we can choose from. We're going to do your first ever billboard. So where were you? What were you doing? And what was it?
Where was I? Okay, I was in Portland, Oregon. So we were founded there. But believe it or not, the first piece for Billups was in Portland, Oregon as well. It was for Hawaiian Airlines.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere, I think it was like, we launched in
Was October it just you and Heather at the beginning?
It was just me and Heather.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, exactly.
Had you worked in out of home before?
Yeah. I worked in a full service media agency for about 4 years.
Okay.
Mostly I'd say 60 to 80% of our transactions were in the out of home space.
Okay.
But like the first actual billboard or space for Billups that was acquired from a placement perspective was for Hawaiian Airlines. I'll never forget it. Chuck Cohen, Jocelyn Lee. Jocelyn ended up working for us for a bit. I don't know, it was 2008 or 9. She's a close friend. But Chuck, they work for Star Siegel Advertising, and they were the AOR for Hawaiian Airlines. And Hawaiian actually at the time, believe it or not, was in bankruptcy. So you're going to think I'm, good for starting Billups. But like I said, it's a story we started. It's being written by our people, but it's also being written by Chuck and Jocelyn, because in 2003 and 4, Hawaiian Airlines was in bankruptcy protection, right? It didn't actually go to administration or liquidation. And as a result, even though Ben and Heather were just starting, this is like a bit of a fun fact, because I'm not good enough to have done this. I'm just not. I'm good at my job, but I'm not this good. Because they were in bankruptcy, everything was frozen. So all their prior media, their debts and everything.
Oh, right.
So they had to prepay anything new according to the courts.
Right.
And so literally we went through maybe 8-9 markets with the perms on the U.S. West Coast. First piece being on I-84 in Portland, Oregon, on my favorite piece on the West Coast, maybe other than Clear Channel 4084 on the I-405. And
I love the fact that you know the numbers.
I still remember. Maybe it's 4064. I don't know. I need to put my glasses on to remember.
For the listeners out there,
and me.
Each individual billboard has a unique code.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ben's just reeling them off.
So is that a bit like train spotting, like billboard spotting?
Yeah, I remember. No, I was keeping a hand scratch of top permanent locations, because that's what they were chasing, trying to emerge from bankruptcy. And so we were thinking San Diego Zoo type locations where they hadn't been on for 10 years. And then all of a sudden somebody popped off. So we were looking at things like this near the Coronado Bridge in San Diego, iconic, high profile. That was it. Like, make it happen. And I just remember this was my first client. And after coming out of the other agency, they're like, I had just brought them to the other agency. And they're like, where'd you go? And because I waited 60 days, almost took a job at Expedia. And I thought, because I had a bit of a travel background and then the marketing side. Fortunately, they never hired me. They did. And I got to the final round. They're like, you don't have 6 years of interactive experience. I'm like, I'm 26. Like, there's no way probably I could have had that. How did you make it into this interview? So anyhow, I was like, well, I sort of aced the test with the recruiters. But I actually wrote that lady, her name was Maria Hess. And I'll never forget because I wrote her an email about 2 years ago. And she was at the time was at Madrona Ventures. And I was like, thank you for not hiring me. Because had you, I would have laid up. I would have taken a job and I would have never started.
It's the sliding doors moment, right?
Yeah. So I wasn't good enough. But anyhow, with Star Siegel, Chuck, Jocelyn, they're like, where have you been? Like, do you want to work? I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I want to work. So we, sort of came in. And I remember the first check coming in, the first month was like, they had to prepay and everything was on time. And I'm like, this is easy. Yeah. And then, and then next year wasn't quite like that. As you guys know, this is reoccurring relationships, but not recurring revenue. And so we, sort of like Hawaiian changed the next year, kept some of the same assets, but strategy moved a bit. But so
that's cool.
So the I-84, the famous I-84 U storage wall, I think it's owned by Joe Weston, is my favorite piece.
We've got an image in the deck of the transit shelter, but we'll definitely try and find it.
It was Follow Me Home. I think it was Pulani is the sort of the spirit of Hawaiian Airlines.
Okay.
They've been acquired by Alaska Airlines, so I'm not sure how that's kind of playing out, if it's going to be one brand or what.
If there's one thing that Hugh is really good at, is finding the obscure billboards in the most obscurest of places.
That is obscure.
We'll definitely.
I've been emailing my photographer from 2003, and he was a good friend. And I emailed and I didn't hear back from him, so I hope everything's okay. But I tried to get a photo for you. But
should we get into the work?
Yeah, let's do the work.
All right.
So.
You start, yeah.
Usually we're talking about the ideas and how they came about and brief to ideas. For you, we're going to flip it slightly because we're wanting to hear from the out-of-home specialist perspective on these things. Aware that the ideas are generally, for these things, are coming from out of a big agency or out of a creative agency somewhere.
Sure.
And they end up on the desk of an out-of-home specialist through a media agency sometimes, or sometimes direct. And we're really interested about the process of that because I think it's something that is largely underplayed in the creative side of the industry, but it has the ability to change a campaign to become more iconic, to become famous.
Sure.
Rather than just invisible. There are too many campaigns that we've seen in the back of someone's book that this would have been great, and it doesn't happen for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And so, we're really interested in the out-of-home specialist perspective on some of these things.
I'll give you my best. It's been a while since I've done the planning process, but I will give you everything that I can recall as part of this process.
So, we're going to start with Jordan Brand, the Prudential Tower Jumpman activation from 2014.
Yeah.
So this is going back
World
a bit.
Basketball Festival.
But
is that what it was?
I think that's exactly what it was. It was at Millennium Park, and I remember the brief, but this was not the normal brief that you're referring to, which is pretty normal for a specialist to hear, get downstream from the agency.
Yeah.
This was from Tom Kelly and Ian Carey at Jordan. And
right.
And what happened is basically Tom, who's got he's a character. He was like, hey, we had just been in their office, I think a month or two prior, and they needed some help. And it was last minute. And they said, Jumpman, this was the email, Jumpman equals epic, go. Chicago. Yeah. That was it.
See you later.
That was the creative brief. And I'm thinking, where's Michael Palatnik these days? On the empirical side, help me out, Michael.
Fucking hell.
And so what we did was, we started looking, sort of ideating internally, and we're trying to figure out well, what do we want to do? And we didn't want to do a projection. We ended up coming across, some idea of how do we just sort of build this into the fabric of a building that's near Millennium Park. And they wanted the Aeon Tower, which I think in my photo is to the right of the actual image. And I remember we called something like 57 or 67 buildings.
But you just call the landlords up.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And we were working with somebody to help us secure a permit, and the Aeon building actually had sort of pylons, and it really wasn't going to work well effectively, but it would have been the most iconic because the building is just, so tall. So we ended up settling, which actually just from a structural perspective was more rectangular sort of or square.
Canvas works better. I would imagine the logo is a bit more.
And and Nike's amazing to work with. They are amazing to work with, and they'll push you. But effectively what we decided was, hey, we're going to turn off all the lights in the building, and we're just going to sort of create the Jumpman logo, sort of jumping over Millennium Park, if you will. And what was so great about this is by the time we actually got the permission, we're feeling pretty good. We're working with the union, how we're going to do this. And it's all like, it's a rectangle like the windows. So you can imagine the ball wasn't completely round or anything like this, or the shoes or the feet.
Yeah.
And so, we got about done. We're like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. And it was looking a little sticky, but it was resembling Jordan. And I remember when Nike was like, or Jordan was like, hey, listen, we need to round the ball and we need to round these things. And we're like, oh, man.
Get up there and get some blinds on the windows.
And so it was, and there's just so many moments where I'm learning from amazing people. But we ended up, so we rounded the ball. We did everything. And at that point, it was the most like, social media brand post for Jordan ever. That's at least what was communicated to us. And people wanted posters. People wanted lots of things. And it was a great moment for us. And that was kind of the moment that we entered.
How did you round? Sorry to interrupt. How did you round the ball?
I think we just
blackened it out the window a bit.
I think they did something with some wood over the
because
inside
all
of the
light is coming from inside the building.
Correct. Yeah.
And because it's weird.
There was some sort of build some sort of construction, small
to give it a bit
wood to just kind of give it someone the light.
Because all the other buildings have, a lot of buildings have their lights on at night anyway. So that's already a big win, isn't it? Going right, turn them off, and then we'll turn. It's brilliant.
So big signs up in all the office. Don't touch the light switch.
So what was it? So what was fun is somewhere in our archive we have this video, and we told Nike, they're like, hey, can you get a video of it? And we went ahead and we got a drone. We got out there. We were going to get a drone. We were like, hey, we got a drone. They're like, don't worry, we already have a helicopter. And so I was like, oh man, but I think that's the great thing about clients that want to go for it, that they dare. Do you know what?
Like if you ran that now, it'd be fucking cool. It's timeless,
cool. Yeah.
It'd be fucking cool right now.
Yeah, and I think iconic brilliant. Timelessness, right? Like we remember those moments, and this is something we've all, anybody in the specialist space, there's been things that they've created, or there's been things that have been created for them, but they still had to be executed well, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
And so this is just one of those super memorable things for me, because Portland, Oregon, brand Jordan, Nike, it means a lot for me.
But I think also when you're on the specialist side, you're going to get that pushback from creative people. You've secured the location, but there's just an extra level of craft that you need to go to get that, the rounding of the ball or the curvature of the feet, and having that relationship with the people to actually achieve it is really important. So talking about partnerships, because
and it's usually at the last minute too. So you're asking
by the way, 11 p.m. here we go. We need to do this.
Yeah. Can you call the union guy or the union gal and get approval?
But then also the key is the shot.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get the shot, it doesn't.
I don't think that was our drone. I think it was their helicopter.
Yeah. I was going to say, because it's a pretty mega shot. Because that's how you tell the world, isn't it? Because it's the real fucker when you do a big stunt, or you put loads of effort into something, and then you take a photo, you go, I look shit. You got to get up that shot.
Somebody once told me, and we ran an interesting activation when we were pitching actually against our current global CEO, David Krupp. He was at Connecticut at the time, but there's beauty in simplicity. When it comes to these events and or stunts or activations, whatever you want to call it, experiences. And so the goal is it's difficult to make things simple, right? And I think if you could make it simple and you can make it natural, it usually is it's like abiding, right? Like this is timeless. Yeah. And so, those are the moments that I think everybody lives for, but you don't get them all the time.
No, I agree. Yeah. And I think, because I'd say 99% of the briefs that come across your team's desk will be posters and billboards and
we love
transit and shelters and all sorts. But occasionally you get something that can sit out of home, that will sit in award shows and do really well, because it's about the fabric of the city, and that's what one of these things is.
And as a brand, they try to do that, right? Yeah. And so you're just thankful, because when you have clients that make you better, and they challenge you to rise to the occasion, to think, not just activate. And we can do that. And activation is still difficult.
Yeah.
It's also when you've done it's only when you've done something really fucking hard that you realize how fucking hard it is.
Yeah. And everybody's like, oh, that's just so simple. It's like watching a professional athlete.
Yeah.
It's you're like, dude, I could do that. And I'm like, absolutely not anymore.
It's really hard because you've got to sell to a client and go, we can do this stuff, and go, well, show me. And then once I read this quote the other day on LinkedIn. It was really basic, but it said, if you to do hard things, you have to do hard things. There's just no fucking easy way.
Yeah.
You got to get over the line, and then the next time, all that hard muscle,
muscle memory. Yeah.
I tell, both my boys, resistance is your gift. Like it's the gift. And if you can figure out how to get through resistance in life, whether it's multiple years of struggling to play minutes, or you just struggle with academics, you like them, but you can't get science, you can't get math, like whatever it may be. But resistance is the gift, because ultimately you're going to learn. Yeah. And the grade doesn't matter as much as the learning does. And so you just have to keep coming.
Yeah. It's a really good way of saying it. We're going to talk about...
Speaking of got to keep coming, there's a good segue, right? Hugh, what are we going to talk about next?
We're going to talk about dicks. I just watched the what do you call it? The film, the
Elf Beauty. So many dicks, so few.
It's brilliant. It's so. I remember we talked about this actually when we were in the States, didn't we? We did talk about it.
Special,
who wants to? Do you want to intro it, Dan, or do you want me to talk?
So we're talking about Elf Beauty, and I've got some notes here on the brief. The Elf Beauty wanted to expose the lack of gender and racial diversity in America's corporate boardrooms, and we did talk about this on our New York special. So if you do want to go back and hear from the creatives on it, you can hear that. What we do want to talk about though on with you though, Ben, is just about the fear factor to start with. You know, you get creative that's going to land across someone's desk in one of the planning teams, and the headline is "So many dicks." Mm-hmm. What happens in this?
I mean, I'm an evangelical Christian, so I don't even know where to start with this one.
But is that and so I would say the out of home media in America is much more conservative than it is in the UK. I think there are obviously parameters in place to stop obscenities on screens, but I imagine when this brief comes across someone's desk, you go, well, actually this is going to be difficult to do, and how are we going to do it, and where are we going to do it?
So I think I don't know what the question is, but what I can tell you is
I guess the question is like, how do you, the tricky stuff, how do your teams navigate it from a planning perspective? And
I think you go straight into adult mode, and then obviously just you ask you're checking with the media owners from a perspective. Obviously, is this going to fly, right? Especially if you're in a I mean, billboards, yes, but also when you're on specific, you're in the tube, or you're in something like this, station domination or something like that. So you got to get the creative approved first in multitude of these scenarios, airports, what have you. And you're going to be told in certain scenarios, hey, listen, you can't do that. So there's been a number of things, whether it's, so many dicks or AHF at times. Mm-hmm. But I think you always like the world of out of home on the planning, placement, performance, that whole world. There's a lot of people that are like locked into, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but I think people tend to really push this thing as a commercial thing. And while, we've got an amazing commercial person at Billups who leads our efforts, I think you have to have that client-centric ethos. Yeah. And you're like, okay, what is it exactly that you're trying to communicate here, and help us understand, because you're going to have a conversation with the media owner. You're going to have to explain this to them.
And you have to give them the full story, right? It's not just a headline that says so many things.
No, you got to read the rest of it. Exactly.
Yeah, there's a good message behind it.
Attract attention, but here's what we need to deliver.
Well, that's why it's so good, because it is amazing. Apart from those three words, it's just a very well argued, rational thing, like that we need more people, we need more diversity.
It's award-winning. We were super thankful to be a part of it. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, I don't care what the message is, especially as we look at some of this stuff. It's like, okay, what's our responsibility to, a seed grower? What's our responsibility to an apparel company? What's our responsibility to,
But it's also, is it where it was? Because it is in, am I right in saying it's in New York in the station?
That one.
Mega.
That one was in the,
I think there were a number of these
That's the walkway between the PATH train and the Westfield, I think, the long screen that we're looking at on slide 12.
Yeah.
And then there were placements around Grand Central and on the subway as well. So there's multiple placements, mainly around the transit space.
It was an amazing campaign.
Yeah.
I mean,
it went everywhere.
Yeah.
And it won lots of awards as well. So it won Obies. It won a couple of gold Obies.
It's brilliantly executed.
And some drum marketing awards.
Because it's sort of...
There was a lot. I mean, I saw it all on our social media. I mean, for me, I didn't personally, obviously, execute this campaign. I was involved with the Jordan campaign. But it's exciting for our people. Awards, they're important things. They're important for the brands. They're important for the agencies. But I think it's just proof of life. Yeah. And I think that always just helps give people momentum. And this is an important space where we need to continue to push the status quo. I think both creatively as well as from a planning and placement perspective. So you got to be up for it. You got to be curious. You got to be accountable, and you've got to make these things very, very clear.
And I guess, like you said, you're working with the media owners on a daily basis, and being able to have an open, honest, and frank conversation with them when you're going through. Look, we've got this creative. We are looking for spaces, and this is the message. This is the full message. Then we want to, we want to get it out there. They'll work with you.
Yep.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah.
To Nike Dodgers World Series Reactive 24.
All right. 24.
So that's on slide.
Oh yeah, 16, 17.
So what I love about this is I know nothing about
baseball.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was that.
I used to say cricket.
Yeah. But I know, I do understand the idea. You've gone for the D. It's the Dodgers. There was a lot of resting on the game. So your point, Dan, was right?
So this is we talked about it with. I'm pretty sure it was Grace Teng, Zambezi media director, that talked about it with us. We were in New York for the Ad Club event, and she talked about it with us. One of her favorite things. And so Dodgers beat the Yankees in the 2024 World Series.
I think they won in 2025 too, right?
Yeah, they won it back to back. But a historic moment for the Dodgers, and this was a reactive campaign by Nike again. I think, yeah.
See a lot of that. They do amazing work.
But it's very, because Dan and I were talking about if they had lost, you can't do it. If they're, what is the kind of, I don't know, how do you prepare for such a thing? Is that what you're saying, Dan?
So from a media perspective, you're making plans based on the outcome of a game.
Yeah, I mean, but imagine when they go into the locker room after they win championships, people all of a sudden have hats.
Yeah, true. So you prepare everything.
They're absolutely prepared.
Yeah.
You don't just react.
Yeah,
of course. But these things have high levels of preparation and waiting for the moment.
Yeah,
and then strike while it's hot.
So something like that. Just into the microphone. Something like this, are you allowed to do that? Do you have to say to someone, we're going to shine a light on the D of the Hollywood sign, or do you do it and worry about it after?
I think there's a lot of people that have done both.
Okay. No, I'm interested.
I mean, guerrilla projection is a thing, right? You see that out in the streets, and it's do it. And if there is a fine, you pay it, and that the fine almost becomes part of the media plan number, right?
We once had we once put Mini Cooper on the side of a mall in Houston, Texas.
Yeah,
and I can remember our client at the time. It was Lee Nadler, and Lee is a friend of Billups and a friend of mine. And I can remember we put the actual what was a fiberglass sort of mini, but it was life size and real. And they started getting actual parking tickets on the side of this building. I wish I had the video to show you guys.
Oh, that's epic.
And, the whole campaign for Mini was not NORMAL. And I can tell you this is a whole different conversation about how we sort of gained favor in Lee's eyes. But ultimately, we put this on this wall in the side of the mall in Houston, Texas, and it started getting parking tickets. And it was coming across the news every night.
Brilliant.
The Mini is still there, right? And so the client's like, I will pay them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of coverage. That's the thing.
Because
you do something that hits the news.
Did this hit the news?
Hit the news?
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can imagine, you go picture of winning trophy, whatever the sport is.
Yeah.
But then this means
jump
the
to the broadcast.
Yeah. Because that's the extra shizzle, isn't it? That's the bit. I love
this idea. Right?
It's beautiful.
Again,
it's also perfect because it's at the end, so it's just it just sits really well, doesn't it?
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
So who was the team they beat?
That's
Yankees.
what I was.
Yankees.
See, that would be fucked. There's no word.
There's
for
a why, had it, but we were in LA, and anytime, West Coast.
Can you imagine if they put the Y on if the Yankees had won? What that would have done?
They would have had to do a pinstripe. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what the series score was. I mean, I
wonder who the person was who said, "Oh, look, that D."
Yeah.
Would that have been a creative department, or would it be a media guy? Because it's interesting, isn't it?
Let's ask the audience.
I mean, we've got a story somewhere. I don't know exactly what it is today, but it is definitely, it was so simple. It was, making it, there's beauty and simplicity.
And again, another gold Obie for that one. awards all over the place. Very good.
Yeah, it's when we won, the agency successfully defended their pitch to win Mini Cooper, and it was during the Halloween period. And I actually hired a bunch of they weren't Serbians, but I basically I bought like 6 Sasquatch outfits, like real, like from Hollywood level. And we were trying to figure out how we were there were 3 people in the pitch, and we were the last company in the pitch. And we purposefully got into, I always thought about, do I buzz the building with, at that point they would only offer an F4, not an F14 or F16. Do we buzz it at game time? We're like, what is it we're going to do to like rattle the senses, rattle the instincts? And what we did was we hired 6 Sasquatches. And so what we did is we put them in San Francisco Airport when the clients all landed. It was the VP of marketing, director of marketing, like CMO. And literally we took the Sasquatches, and they had these not normal, because they had given us this full brief. It was about not NOR MAL. So it was like a block.
Okay.
And so what we did was we put the t-shirts on the Sasquatches. And so they kind of saw it, but I don't know that they realized, because they were a little bit in shock. So they're moving around throughout the terminals. We got approval. And they weren't like following, but they'd be like, they're moving the terminals. And then as soon as they got in the car, we had a driver, and he was in on it, and we had like 3 folded t-shirts that said not normal.
Oh, that's funny.
And they're like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh,
like,
nice.
Good things. I wish I could have told the
That's
story.
So good.
And so then they drove from SFO across the Golden Gate Bridge. They were going into the agency, Butler, Shine, Stern and Partners. And what happened was, right as soon as they got to the agency, we had taken down the stop sign, and we had a Sasquatch crossing sign in yellow. And it was like an adult Sasquatch and a smaller Sasquatch. And they had balloons, and they were just walking across. It'd be like something you would have seen in, one of these like funny Super Bowl commercials. And I think everybody's like thinking, what the hell's going on? And so they go in, nothing else happens all day. And the agency had just successfully defended, the pitch and they won Mini Cooper again. And then, team 1 goes, I don't know if it was Kinetic or whoever it was. And then team 2, I think it was, at the time it was called Out of Home Pitch. And they were the incumbent partner to Butler, Shine, Stern and Partners. And then we came in, and I was wearing a blazer, effectively with the not normal shirt. And I saw the client, they just looked at me, and they were like, didn't know what to say. They were like, it was like shocked. He was like, was that you?
Yeah.
The friendship, was delivered. And effectively what we did after, we just killed the pitch, and it was like mic drop. And we threw, as soon as it was over, we just walked out, and we threw a party for the agency. 200 people, live music, taco trucks, things like that. And people are like, do we stay? I'm like, no, this is the mic drop moment. Yeah. This is the time you walk out. It's not our party, it's theirs. So for me, it was a little bit about, we've done things like that,
It goes back to something that Mark Tutzel used to say, the theatre of the streets, right? And what you're after is a standing ovation. And that's one of those moments. So yeah, I love that.
Let's talk bananas with condoms on, Dan. We seem to be.
AHF, which is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, as an awareness campaign. I don't know where this was. UK, US, and
I think this was International Condom Day.
Yeah. So every year they run a campaign.
They're trying to get me in trouble here. I'm kidding. Super proud of the work.
And this is public health messaging. And often it becomes stale and horrible, and this has been flipped on its head to obviously create standout. Again, I guess this is a similar question to the one that we had before. Is it more difficult to get out the challenging messages that could?
I think in the end, it's collaboration. No, because this is health and safety, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that you can look at it as, is this something that shouldn't, be one way, or somebody has a belief of this? I think at the end of the day, this is a health and safety message, right? And so from our perspective, AHF is another brand that we love to work with, because they absolutely push, they push the needle on how to make sure, because if you can get noticed, like you said, you were talking about just stopping, you stop and you look at this, and you read the message, you consume it. So conversion is much higher when creative is great, and they do an amazing job as a client. And so I think in this from our perspective, we just have to make sure that people understand this is an educational message. I mean, at least from my perspective, I don't know exactly what I don't work with the client day. Our team does in LA, but in the end, it is really, really important for,
there's the right level of humor in there to as a little poke at Nike and the typeface and the setting. So it's not just shock value. There's kind of like a there's
truth.
Yeah, and you're pricking out the kind of again memory encoding of people seeing Nike adverts out there and then translating back as well. Yeah. So there's
we love working with them. They push it. Nike pushes it. It's we have that with a number of clients. I mean, it's a privilege to be a part of it, and we love doing this type of work.
Yeah,
it's interesting the way you talked about it being a health message. I quite like that, because like if I'm a creative, I'm going, yeah, but it's a controversial thing with a banana and then if you very dryly just say, "This is an important message." Yeah, for people's health. It's really interesting.
I'm sorry. No, you just called me.
No.
I think you have to, the context and the content are both important.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, I presume, because I'm from a purely creative background, I always get frustrated when people go, you can't do that. You can't do that. But then if the way you've described it, if you're shrewd and the way you involve people and bring them in and go, no, what this is about, then they go, right.
It's all storytelling. We've been listening since we were kids, and our, if you had a parent tell you a story or a babysitter tell you a story, all we need is the story and the understanding. And obviously most problems in life start with communication. And so, or lack of communication. So I think this is simply about, a client-centric ethos, being willing to communicate the story so that people understand like where you want to go with this. And I think if you can do that and it's defensible, then, if it's controversial per se, or you think it might be, I try to begin every day without assumptions, I've had a couple of things happen in the last 24 hours and like my wife and I are always like, okay, let's take the assumptions out. Like, let's start from here. So, I think,
Can I say this next one? I remember seeing, I think we might have featured this anyway on our socials. It's fucking great.
Ooh, That's Nice. Ooh, That's Nice is one of our segments that goes out. It's sponsored sponsored by View to Fill. It's about what we see out in the wild. It goes out every Monday on our Instagram channel, and cool. we captured this as one of our favorite campaigns.
So this is Decathlon, and I like this line, the blue screen of death. But it was actually from an outage, wasn't it? Do you remember? Everyone was fucked.
Yeah, there was computer viruses and
yeah. And the headline just said, outage, get outside, enjoy it 50% off our outdoor goods. I mean, it's just perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what was the story behind this? Can you remember?
I think we want to think about contextual messaging. I think this is a segue for us to talk about contextual messaging in out-of-home and the power of context when we're looking at out-of-home placements, especially digital ones, and really talking about how some of the work that Billups has done, not just this one, but other things. How do you approach dynamic digital out-of-home, and how do you approach reactive stuff to help agencies who have an idea or clients who have an idea get to the streets really quickly, and any tools or systems that you have in place to help you do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think obviously from a digital perspective, tools and streets, programmatic, right? Like that's just something we can activate. I mean, we direct buy things at the last minute too, as well. I think as you're saying, context is, very, very important. I think, it just matters on the brief, right? So it's like, hey, we got to get this up. This has got to go. Mm-hmm. Or we've got, something that is just, hey, needs a little more thinking. And so I think everybody on our team, like on any one of our teams, whether it's in the US or the UK or Germany or Malaysia, Singapore, I mean, like everybody's like kind of itching for something that challenges them. I mean, and sometimes the placements and the small activations are a lot of challenge. But I mean, I think sometimes it's like, how do I get this approved? How am I going to get this activated? What's the timeline? So for me, what's the process? I don't. Did you ask me that question?
Yeah, I just really interested about Billups as an agency and being able to do this kind of stuff, the reactive stuff and the contextual campaigns.
Like you got to have the bandwidth. I mean, one of the things that we have a workflow automation, system that just allows us to, it's called the Billups app effectively. And so it allows us to be able to just put everything in, we're not just doing Excels and PowerPoints anymore. I mean, I think everybody still works with those things.
programmatic planning tool, and
we have a number of automated tools, but at the end of the day, you know, the challenge I see sometimes with our space is, and this is not what you're asking me, but like it is a bit of a mindset standpoint from a supply standpoint. How much do they want to reveal? Respect 100%, you know, from that perspective, because I don't know everything that goes into that side. But I think in the end, it's just like what tools can we use that are going to get them, you know, help them achieve their objectives as quickly as possible? And is it something in-house? Is it something we're going to have to do out of house? And how much time do we have to spend getting this right? And so, you know, there's always like an interesting blend of how to pull some of this type of stuff off. But like sometimes it's highly manual and sometimes it's completely automated. Just depends.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. And I think it's, you know, just having spoken to you for this last hour and some of the stuff that we've spoken to outside, I think it's a mindset of people. You said you've got 480 people around the world. And I think from a culture perspective in the business, if you've got, you know, I built a business exactly like this. The entrepreneurial spirit is someone phones you up and says, can we do this? The immediate response is always yes, and we'll figure it out. And if you have the right people in place in an out-of-home market, you can react quickly. You can be contextual.
Yeah.
And if you have the right relationships with partners and media vendors and people with tools to help you deliver the creative in that way, you can do it. And I think it's there are many agencies out there that, like you said, Hugh, that people say no. I don't know. It's too hard.
I was just going to say that. You can't take no always, right? Like so sometimes if you're getting an absolute no, you know, either you're not telling the story correctly, or if you are and it's just a no, you got to move quickly. You got to keep moving, move to the next to figure out how you're going to implement something that somebody's asked. Maybe something needs to adjust. Maybe we need to go with vertical creative, like whatever it may be, because sometimes I like to say it's a bit like football. It's a bit like, I talk about European football, but or what have you. But you have to take what the defense gives you, right? Like they give you space, you got to move into space. If you've got somebody on the street furniture side who's offering the ability to deliver this, but the tube won't, for example, like you got to take what the defense gives you, especially if you're operating last minute, you're doing something highly, you know, interesting, challenging, and the moment, the timing in the moment is critical and you got to get it up, then, you know.
I suppose another way of looking at it is we talk about the amplification of social media.
Yeah.
So you might go, okay, we're not going to get it everywhere, but we get it away once. Again, it's the power of that photo. Then we bomb that around
use
the
it as content. Using out of home as placements as content.
It's huge, isn't it?
We see budgets like that and it'll be small. I mean, we don't see a ton of them. Again, we have like a lot of people that are investing in out of home, not just buying out of home. But if you wanted to buy and you wanted to use a social media budget, it's something that we see.
Yeah, because they do fit. I mean, it's nicer to see
the TV commercials with the rolling vans with the you know with the mobile mobile like ad on it from so everybody's even using the real world, the physical world to kind of tell their story even on broadcast TV.
And you know what I think that is? I think there is we saw that with the fake out of home stuff that reared its head a while ago. There's a clamber still, you know, this goes back to what we were talking about, experiential, the clamber for real. And people, if it's in the real world, your product becomes real and that gains trust with an audience.
Proof of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
I think as we were just recapping everything, we're coming towards the end of our hour. I think it's really clear that, you know, we've seen some great campaigns. And I know this is just the tip of the iceberg for the stuff that you guys have delivered.
There's a lot,
you know, and there's a lot I've
been involved in, and a lot I haven't been, more that I haven't been involved in.
No, absolutely. But these are the big creative ideas that we picked out with your team and looked at how creative and media work in perfect synergy. Yes. And I think that's what we're seeing across all of these examples.
It hits, right?
Yeah, it hits.
I mean, we're not the only company that does it, obviously, but when it hits, you know it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
you recognize it.
Not just a great idea, but a great placement. And that's what elevates the whole campaign. And I think it becomes, then it's social content and PR. And
it lives on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, how we price that and, you know, value that is also something that the space needs to get better. I think
so. Yeah. It's not just the immediate impressions. There are secondary impressions as well. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been fantastic.
Ben, thank you, mate.
Yeah, it's an eye opener.
Really
thank
good.
you.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I had a great time. Hopefully I helped.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Whew. Wowzers.
No, I really do need to lie down.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
His energy is quite infectious, isn't it?
He's great. Once he gets going, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, because he's saying, I'm not sure if I'm going to say much.
It's like, yeah, he was like, you guys who do all the talking about, no, this is yours. And actually,
good.
to use his own words, this is his journey.
Yeah. Actually, we can remember that, don't we?
I'm definitely telling that to Kelly when I get home. About,
do you hear about my journey home? On the fucking Northern Line.
This is his journey. Yeah.
No, it was a real insight, and actually interesting watching you two converse, because it's a bit more your side of the fence, if that's the right way of putting it. I just find it really interesting. The whole, joking aside, the whole journey of work, how it gets to where it is.
I think from my background, I've spent a lot of time with people in similar businesses to him, helping them get used to what a creative wants. Yeah. Because it's almost like being a conduit between creative agencies or brands to a media side, because generally the flow is, they're going to brief the media agency and the creative agency, and then they're going to go back to the client with stuff, and then it's going to fall down through the out-of-home teams for the out-of-home bit. And actually being a conduit between technology companies or media owners or specialist agencies or creative agencies is a real thing, because it's just, like I said, it's that can-do mentality.
Well, if you're joined up, because there's been so many times, I don't know about you, but where I've seen an idea fall down because you haven't had one of the partners in the room, and then you go, oh no, we can't do it because of X or Y, and going, fucking hell. It used to
infuriate me. Sometimes we'd invite some media people into brainstorms because you want like, oh, where could it go? And people go, I can't do that because you can't do that on the tube. It's like, well, you can do it, but you need to think outside the box of how we're going to do it. And let's not, no one say no. Because we used to run a game in some of the Energizers where we would go yes and yes and that idea,
rather than
but no, because
but
but yeah, that's
it was good. It was brilliant. He's larger than life. I really enjoyed it. And maybe see him again when we go back to America. I don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Or some of the team.
We can
extend the net. So we should say thank you to our friends and sponsors. Let's hear from them now.
Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I do? Genuinely, do you know what I love about outdoor?
No, I don't.
Loads and loads. But one of the best things, I think Heg actually mentioned it, but we're champions of this. You can't swipe it. You can't skip it. It's everywhere. It's real and it's there. And if it's done well, the impact is massive.
We're saying it's omnipresent. Do you like that word?
Ooh. Swallowed the dictionary.
I think Bauer Media Outdoor really get that as well. I mean, they've got the scale as well to back that up. They've got 33,000 sites across the UK. But I think what's great is, having such a big media owner on board as a sponsor is the way they help our community and brands actually use the space properly.
Yeah, and they've got tons of guidance. How to craft great posters, making sure designs are not just seen but actually remembered, which is the absolute, the most important thing.
Powerful posters, if you will.
Exactly.
We're really lucky. This episode is brought to you by Bauer Media Outdoor. They're one of the UK's largest out-of-home media owners. The billboard at the end of my street is brought to you by Super Optimal. Design intelligence for out-of-home. Super Optimal delivers simple, machine-driven analysis and actionable insights for reviewing and improving out-of-home ad design. Designers and media teams can quickly analyze billboard and poster designs, gain optimization feedback, and deliver out-of-home design that is fit for purpose. Test and learn. Make informed design decisions and elevate your out-of-home campaigns at superoptimal.ai.
Ooh, That's Nice is brought to you by View to Fill, the out-of-home campaign photography and video experts. View to Fill have spent a decade mastering the art of out-of-home campaign capture. They know how these campaigns run: adaptive display schedules, dynamic creatives, and high expectations. That's why brands trust them to deliver stunning photography and next-level videography. From drones to time-lapse and motion capture, View to Fill turn your campaign into powerful content that lives far beyond the humble billboard. Because out-of-home campaigns are not just about being seen, it's about being remembered and creating a legacy. Want to future-proof your next campaign? Visit View to Fill to capture the essence of your campaign. Our music is sponsored by Gas Music, delivering sound, music, and magic. Every time you do that, sorry for the listeners, every time you clap, it wakes me up a bit. It's quite good. Yeah.
It's really going to annoy John, though, if I keep clapping on the edit.
Yeah, but at least it's waking. Like, I just about get through the day now.
Let's just say a quick thanks to our friends. Thanks to our friends here at Soho Radio, Viral Tribe, and let's also say thanks to our friends at Gas Music up in Manchester.
Yeah, Gas. Hello, Gas. How are we? And yeah, thank you, Adrian, for putting up with us. It's been a great.
It's been a lovely day.
Great day.
Now you can go home and get some sleep.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll see you again soon. We've got quite a lot lined up.
Yeah, we've got loads lined up, actually.
Yeah. So, we're very excited.
Yeah, we've got some great guests coming in.
And we're going to be filmed.
We are going to be filmed.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it.
We were actually filmed for the New York stuff. We just haven't used any of the video footage.
All right.
But now, we're going to be filmed on the next one.
Lawrence Quinn's
coming on. I have to do my hair. I might go and get a haircut.
I'll bring a bag. All right, mate.
Laters.
Bye.